Firehouse Tales, the calls that just won't go away. Well, everybody who's a career firefighter, career police, professional medical worker, nurses, doctors, everybody involved in work like that is going to have experiences that for some reason their brain, their mind just won't let go of, won't let you forget. Now here's an easy test you can do to yourself. Try to think back to how many memories you have, how many really vivid, clear memories you have of birthdays. Okay? How old are you? You know, you're in your 20s, you're in your 40s, you've had a lot of birthdays. How many do you remember really clearly? Okay, and now look at your body and look at your scars. Or try to remember injuries that you've had. Did you injure this ankle? How about this wrist? I bet you remember that, don't you? I've been in some car accidents. I remember those very vividly, but I can't really remember birthdays. So that's something that's hardwired into humans, that all humans have, that when there's something really shocking, really maybe violent, something very hurtful, we tend to remember it really clearly. And if it's something very joyful, we don't seem to remember it as well. And it's interesting that humans are built like that. But firefighters and police have a lot of experiences like that. There's a lot of calls that I've had that are gruesome, that involved injuries, horrific injuries. And I'm not going to talk about those here. I'll talk about those with police or firefighters or healthcare workers or maybe a priest personally. But I'm not going to leave that floating around on YouTube. But what I would like to talk about is a call that we had that was, as many of these very difficult calls are, completely unexpected. Something that just came out of the blue, so to speak. We were coming back from a very routine call. I think it was an alarm activation. Perhaps there was an electrical surge or perhaps a lightning strike, and somebody's computer went crazy in their house and the smoke alarm went off. And there was no smoke. It's just a malfunction. It happens all the time, quite a bit actually. Police respond to a lot more false alarm, burglar alarms than we do fire alarms. But we were on our way back to the station, and as we're pulling up to the fire station, I see on the sidewalk a body face down on the sidewalk. And so I told the driver. The driver couldn't see it. It was on the right side of the truck as we're driving in, on the officer's side where he sits. And the driver in the U.S. sits on the left side. He couldn't see what I was seeing. And so I'm shouting at the driver to call EMS, call the ambulance. And I jump out. The firefighter that is sitting behind me in the fire truck sees what I see. And he grabs the medical bags and jumps out. The driver isn't sure what to do. So he drives, he goes ahead and just parks the truck at the fire station because we're right there in front of the fire station. The driver had already started to pull the truck into the driveway, as a matter of fact, when I saw the body. So I remember my training. You go over this over and over and over. I had more than 10 years in the fire department at this point, probably maybe 14 years. And I'm shaking the woman and trying to get some response out of her. And I roll her over a little bit, and I'm trying to gently, shake her shoulder, trying to get some reaction. Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And my first thought was that she'd been shot. She'd been shot and just dropped like that, just face down on the sidewalk. And she did indeed drop face down on the sidewalk, but she'd blacked out, it turned out. And she was very much unconscious, but she was alive. So I rolled her over, and it was a little, I felt really sad for her. Right away I'm thinking she's in her 40s. Her skin looked bad. She looked old. Very beat up appearance. Her hair wasn't particularly thick, kind of thinning a little bit. Her complexion was bad. Very puffy face. So we're calling on the radio to our dispatcher, giving her updates. The firefighter's trying to get a blood pressure on her. He's got a very weak and thready pulse. So we're giving updates to the dispatcher so they can relay that to EMS. So EMS is going to know what to expect when they arrive, the ambulance. We're treating this woman for maybe a minute. It's actually quite a long time in a situation like this, but not really a long time. All of a sudden, two cars pull up, and I'm kind of grateful the way they pulled up because the headlights are shining on the woman, and it really helps us examine her a little bit better. Does she have any wounds? Was she indeed shot? And she wasn't shot. She just blacked out. But it helps us examine her, and you can see bruises on her where she fell. And out of the two cars that pull up, jump undercover police officers. And we know these guys, okay? They're undercover police officers. They're dressed in civilian clothes. They've got their badge on their belt. And they're cops. You can tell immediately a cop when he dresses in civilian clothes. They stand out. So these guys come running over, and one of them kneels down and starts trying to talk to this woman, and he knows her name. And so I'm trying to talk to the cops. Is she some kind of undercover? What's going on? And no, she's a streetwalker. She's a prostitute. She's got a lot of problems that they know. She was diabetic. She had a history of drug addiction. Her blood sugar's probably way off, which was the case. And then he said something that really shocked me, that she was 26, perhaps 27, something like that. And I thought she'd been in her 40s, and that really shocked me. And the cops, she had a purse with her, and the cops are digging through her purse. And they're pulling out like wadded up underwear, these crumbled up cash, like crumbled up $5 bills, wadded up little pieces of paper that turned out to be money. There's a lot of coins in there. There's a hairbrush. There's just stuff in there, And then out falls from her purse, and I pick it up, this picture that still haunts me. And the picture was a really happy little girl, beautiful, smiling, laughing little girl, holding a gift on her father's knee, who I assume was her father. Very smiling, nice guy looking guy, sitting in a chair. Behind them is a Christmas tree. There's Christmas decorations, and she's just beaming. And it was her. That was her as a little girl, maybe 15 years prior. So that picture was maybe 1990, something like that. And they really struck me. That girl, woman, only lived a couple of years after that. Drugs just ate away her whole body. I think she died of liver or kidney failure, or maybe both. And it just struck me, that that's all that she had for her 27 years in life on this earth. That's all she had was in that purse. Change of underwear, a little bit of cash, hairbrush, a couple of other items, and one photograph of a beautiful memory of a life that was forever gone for her, for whatever reason. And it really haunts me. I've lost a lot of family members from drugs, and recently one of my family members came back and became a born-again Christian, and came back from a different world. Drugs make people just disappear. They just disappear. You lose contact with them, you don't know where they are, and they just disappear. And then more often than not in the U.S., you'll find out that they died, and they're maybe 1,000 miles away, and you have no idea what they went through. They've been gone for 2 or 3 years. When they're found, they're almost unrecognizable. Their appearance changes so much. And it's always amazing to me when I see somebody come out of that world and come back into the world of the living, Because in many ways, these drug addicts are like the walking dead. They're really dead. They're ashamed, perhaps, or maybe they're so fogged in their drug-induced state that they just can't focus enough to contact their family and loved ones, and so they just disappear. It's really sad stuff. Well, that's one of those calls that just won't let go. I remember it very, very vividly. And there's a lot of those that I have. And police also. I know military. My goodness, I know a lot of those guys in the military. A lot of them join the police or fire department. And I've heard a lot of those stories that those guys have that just won't let them go. And it's something to be aware of if you're thinking of a career like that. You're going to witness things that you wish you could forget, but you never will.